I have people stopping me in the corridors and saying, when's productive ward coming to our ward?
It's come up with a lot of new ideas, which are very useful.
And a number of people have said this is the best ward in the hospital in terms of attitude and staff morale and patient care.
I was quite unsure about it. I think it was something new.
I thought we were already quite productive.
What I'd really want to be doing is spending more time on patient care than running around a ward looking for things.
And I think the strength of this project is it's concentrated on the small things that make a difference, because that's what makes the biggest impact to patient care.
The amount of time that I spend away from patients is really not great. It can be and has been demonstrated that we can improve that. So for me, it's getting back to being a nurse.
So it's because it's the systems that are being streamlined, the personnel and the trust should have absolutely no worries.
And I think as consultants, we know how to make the diagnosis, but we know significantly less about the process of care than the healthcare assistants and the domestics do, who see the patients all the time.
The aim of Productive Ward is to look at each individual activity and try and reduce the amount of time nurses spend in doing that, which ultimately will allow nurses to increase the amount of direct care time. This diagram represents how nurses spend 100% of their time in a working day. It breaks down what the nurses are doing into different activity. The first column represents motion, collecting items, looking for items, walking around the ward. Another chunk of time is spent doing administration work. Another chunk of time is spent doing discussion work, and again that can be discussion around patient care, but often that's discussion that's done away from the patient. The last chunk, which is labelled Other, represents the remaining duties that nurses would do on that shift. With the Productive Ward, what we aim to do is to actually look at all those processes and look at how we can introduce changes that will reduce the amount of time that nurses spend in motion, administration and in discussion. And what that will do is to free up time for nurses to actually provide more hands-on direct care.
Which means they'll be happy on the ward, and I think it helps people feel better as well, quicker. It can cut down the length of stay now.
And we benefit from it as well. Our main thing is the average length of stay. And looking through that, we can see that we are making an improvement already. So I think it's very, very good. It's fantastic, and I think it should be used right across UK.
The underlying principle should always be that you organise your tools and equipment and items around your processes, and not the other way around.
So this is where we started to do our first piece of 5S work. So the first thing we do in 5S is to sort.
So sort means get rid of the things that don't need to be in there.
Frequently you find is you're storing the same thing in lots of different places.
With a ward team, you would set the room, the idealistic room.
So for example here we've now got the wipes near to the commode, so that when they come back in they can dispose of the bedpan in the sluice, they can clean it down, get a new bedpan and put it back ready to go.
And then you shine the area.
Having shined it, we're then standardising. So saying what's in the cupboards and giving some easy visual management about what should be in these cupboards.
And then you're looking on your sustaining. So the way we sustain changes is by auditing and letting the staff themselves audit themselves.
One of the new techniques is to actually use video in which to follow the process and then to map the process with it. And that's been really helpful because actually it gives staff a lens into what they do.
I think a lot of nurses just thought when we were going through the lean process for a room that it was just a general tidying up, but it's a lot more than tidying up. It's an actual cycle of improvement. So it's, actually using a lot of methodology behind it. It's not just let's move one thing from one area to another area. It's thinking about why we're moving that and why is it better to move it and getting all the team involved. it becomes a bit infectious and becomes a bit of a bug for the rest of the ward.
What we had to do, we had a chart, and every time a nurse had to go somewhere or do a specific task, we had to log down how many minutes it took them, and then that worked out at the end of the day where time was being wasted, and we worked out that there was quite a lot of time being wasted at the end of the day.
I think it's much nicer that us as the staff who work here are in charge of our own ward. We're allowed to choose how we want to run it.
Actually getting all the staff involved in the process has been the most positive impact.
And it's not the managers who don't have anything to do with it, who sit in their offices maybe who haven't been on the floor for a number of years.
It's not them and you, it's a team. From the top to the bottom, it's a team. It's not management, nurses, healthcare, it's NHS staff. They work as one.
If the way of working is that every member of staff thinks about what they can improve and feels empowered to do that, then that begins to change the culture of the organisation, which traditionally in health is very hierarchical, and you can never get anything done without it going several tiers up the hierarchy. So I think there's something very important about the philosophy of this piece of work as well.
It really, really does empower people, and they go out and start championing other issues. Now, if we could replicate that enthusiasm and commitment and engagement across every single area of service that we provide, we'd be a world-class provider, and I think that's what we're aiming to be.
It's just shown me that you can change things within your workplace.
The organisation of the sub-pharmacy we've done, people just walk in and out now, and it's so much more. It's much easier than just having to rummage through boxes trying to find what you want.
Within a month you will see the benefits, not just in your patient care, in the morale on the wards, because people aren't as stressed.
There's definitely a change in attitude, and I think it's because they're now owning it. It's not management telling them what to do, it's their project.
For me, it's the calmness. A few people have said, every day feels like a Sunday, and that's spot on. We can be really busy, but because everything's so organised and we all know sort of which direction we're moving, and there are things we're not wasting time doing, it's much better. Yeah.
What I've seen is individual elements of change which appear to produce resource savings and real cash savings. So, for example, I was interested to see that the wastage rate on meals has gone down from, I understand, 7% to 1%, and that's really good news.
And we've probably recovered a couple of £1,000 just by sending stock back that was unneeded.
With the better morale, I think the nurses, they do a better job here. They know the patients better, and I think your teamwork is better, and it makes my job a lot easier.
We've not had any complaints back from this ward for the past 3 months on quality of care, which I think is a massive, massive improvement. And I can't think of any other reason but the project.
We've already seen improvements in productivity, time saving and reductions in waste, and I think if we were able to replicate those right across the organisation, we would see substantial improvements.
I think Productive Ward is a big thing. It's a big thing for this ward. It's a big thing for this trust, and I think it's a big thing for the NHS. And as a new innovation, it's the first one that I've seen that sort of works from the bottom up rather than from the top down.
If they're keen and if they can see what can be achieved, and if they can see things happening while your people are there as well, it should be a very useful experience for most places, I would have thought.
It gives you the opportunity as a team to decide.
I was sceptical in the beginning, very sceptical, thinking that's just going to be another wasteful project. But looking around, I mean, if you do go around, it has streamlined our simple day-to-day tasks.
And then the next day or the next time you come on shift, you'll think, well, actually, I know that if I go and look for something, it will be there because everybody is doing the same thing.
I think within 12 months of rolling it out, every ward and the NHS as a whole would see the benefits of it.
I'm very eager to try and roll this out to other wards in the hospital, definitely.
Better for patients, better for staff, better for finance, and obviously better for the trust. as a whole.
Okay, this is a letter that one of the patients sent to us since we've been doing the productive ward. And this lady had stayed on several wards before in the hospital. I don't know if she was ever on this ward, but she did say I've been on other wards and this is different. She says, I'd like to congratulate all the staff on 3A for making my stay a very positive one. There's an obvious calm atmosphere where everyone works as a team to the benefit of everyone else. There's a pride in the ward and it shows in many ways. The commitment to cleanliness is obvious, but also to giving the patients a calm atmosphere in which to recuperate fully. And if the other wards could achieve what this ward has achieved, the hospital as a whole would benefit enormously. The ward should receive the Best Ward of the Month award. Thank you very much. That's nice.